Is it time to course correct? Welcome to Role Model Business, a podcast to help you grow your business, especially in the martial arts world. I'm AJ Klingerman, a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu black belt, obsessed with helping you build your business and your community.
And I'm Jennifer Risser, also a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu black belt, here to learn right along with you. And this week we're course correcting.
Yes, so it's funny because I started the day by researching a little bit. I always look on the different business owner Facebook groups and what are people questioning, and didn't really find anything on that. I started looking through my list of podcast ideas, picked a couple things, and as soon as I stepped up to the whiteboard to write the notes, I wrote that we're on episode 28, which is a little over halfway through the year, and instantly I was like, nope. We have to do an episode on course correcting.
Okay, so let's talk about what course correcting is first.
Yeah, so in this context, it's basically, looking at your goals for the year. We're just over halfway through the year, so what does the rest of the year look like for you? And how do you move in order to hit your goals?
Okay.
So that's kind of what we're looking at. Now, unfortunately, business is math. That's the reality of it. Business is a lot of things. If you own a jiu-jitsu gym, potentially you're kind of on stage, right? You're performing, you have to know technique, there's all these things that go into it. But one thing that goes into it is math. And so we're going to do a lot of math today. So I apologize for that. But if you have the opportunity to actually sit down and work through this with your goals, I think it can be extremely helpful.
And I feel like that's true for goals, period. It's a lot of math, know, even if it's your goal is to do 1,000 rounds in a year, if you haven't mathed that out to what that is a month and a week, you are probably going to really miss it.
Yes. Yeah. We know that, right?
Yeah.
We set a goal like that for our gym a couple of years ago, like anybody that wanted to participate. And, you recognize that if you're only rolling 6 rounds a week, you're never hitting 1,000. So I think math can be really important.
So where do we start?
All right. So I think the easiest place to start is if you had some sort of new student goal for your gym. And first we have to figure out how the goal was actually written. So we're going to take some numbers that probably aren't your exact numbers, but it's easy math, and I like easy math. So let's say you started the year with 120 students, and you set a goal to double your student base. Was your actual goal to sign up 120 people, or was your goal 140 members at the end of the year?
Yeah, that's kind of different.
It is different. You can look at it the same way for like weight loss, right? If your goal is to lose 10 pounds, or is your goal to weigh 10 pounds less at the end of the year? Because if your goal is to lose 10 pounds, you might do that in the first few months, but then gain 20, right? So that doesn't really give you the results you were hoping for come December 31st. So that's what we need to look at first. Which one of those was your actual goal? Was it signing up 120 students, which would be signing up 10 students a month? That's why it's easy math, right? Or was it to reach 240? Okay. So here we are, June 30th. I mean, we're past June 30th now, right? This is going to come out on July 6th, but your numbers are done for the end of June. Look at what your goal was and how many students you've signed up so far, okay? If your goal was to sign up 120 and you've signed up 45 so far, okay? One, we're not quite to our goal. Like that's not 10 per month. So then in the course correcting aspect, this is the math, right? We take 120. That was our goal for signups. We subtract out the 45 because that's how many we've signed up so far, which leaves us 75. Okay, so we still need to sign up 75 more students in the next 6 months. Okay, so now you have to reformulate that goal. When before you were looking to get 10 students a month, now you're looking to get 12 and a half students a month.
It wasn't easy math. I thought it was going to be easy math.
I know. Well, at some point it doesn't get to be. I mean, I guess I could have gone with an easier number of...
That's what I was thinking when you said 45. I was like, that's not easy.
So I would suggest like 13 students a month, right? We're not going to aim for 12 and a half. That's weird. But your goal basically becomes 13 students a month. If your goal was to hit 240, okay, and you look at, okay, well, I've signed up 45. but I've lost 20 throughout this last 6 months. Okay. Kind of averages out to basically being you've signed up 25 students. Okay. So here's the math. You started with 120 students. We added 45. So now we're at 165 on our way to the 240, right? But we lost 20. So we're back to 145 of a 240 goal. That leaves us with 95 students that we're trying to sign up and not lose anyone over the next 6 months. Okay, so now we need to reformulate that goal, and we're looking at getting 16 students a month. If you look at having lost 20 in this 6-month period, though, you're averaging losing about 4 students a month. So that means we need to make our goal signing up 20 people per month. Okay, this is how course correcting works. And it's not always such giant numbers, right? Trying to double your gym it's
a big goal.
It's a lofty goal. Absolutely. So usually you're not working with such giant numbers, but it is just a formula for you to figure out, how do I course correct? And then you have to go back and go, okay, what have I done to get these 45 students over the last 6 months? And what can I do to increase that? Because we need much bigger results over the second half of the year if that's how we're doing it.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
It's kind of that, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got.
Yeah.
I really like that quote. And it's that concept, right? If I only do the things I've been doing, I'm probably not going to go from signing up 10 students a month, which wasn't even what we were doing, to signing up 20 students a month.
Right.
So you then start, just brainstorming all the different ways that you can bring in new students. And I think we did an episode on that. I don't know the episode number, but go back and listen to them. They're all short episodes and they're all great information.
I'll try to find it and put it in the show notes.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. But I think, just kind of going through and brainstorming all the different ways that you can increase that student base. You can do this with a lot of goals like we talked about, like the weight loss. It could have been a money goal. Maybe your goal wasn't a student number. It was how much money you want to make this year. And if you're looking at something like that, then you can also start brainstorming all the different ways that you make money.
Yeah.
We'll do an episode on mathing out how to make a financial goal down the road.
So also, while you're doing this, you might be thinking, "Whoa, I set some goals, but actually it's not very measurable."
Yes. Yeah, there are definitely some goals that aren't measurable like that, or aren't ones that you can kind of course correct. But maybe sometimes it's just like, all right, shake it off and step up. Like I set a goal that I want to do a yard sale this year. And we have been working towards that goal in the fact that we've been purging. I did that in air quotes because we haven't actually gotten rid of anything, but we've been bagging or boxing up things to put in the yard sale. But we have not actually set a date for the yard sale or done the logistics of doing a yard sale. So in that case, is it shake it off and step up, put something on the calendar, make it happen? Or is it, maybe this wasn't the goal for me this year. Maybe it was prepping to do this, but I'm actually going to do it next year. Or maybe I just needed the thought process that I could make money off of these things. And now it's all collected. And I'm like, well, I don't actually want to do the work of a yard sale. Let's donate it all. So sometimes it's about kind of reevaluating your goals too. Do they serve the current version of you?
Yeah.
Because even though it's only been 6 months, you might have changed what your overall goals are in that 6 months.
Yeah, totally. Also, sometimes you're not looking at your goals every day. You have your goals all on a whiteboard, but for some people, they might not have even thought about some of the goals that they set. So this could be a time to just realign and...
Yeah, realign. And I cannot recommend enough having them somewhere in front of you, because even with them on a whiteboard, and we're in here every week doing the podcast, and while I'm writing it or before I write the notes for the podcast, I literally look at my goals and think, where am I in reference to this? And sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot that I set a goal to compete 3 to 5 times this year. And here we are in July. And really, I only have one competition that I'm considering. So, do I reevaluate that? Do I buckle down and make that happen? I wouldn't even think about it if I didn't have those goals in front of me.
What's funny is I've got 3 in my head that I think we might do.
Excellent. That'll hit our goal. Having an accountability partner can be vital too, because sometimes you rest on your laurels, or whatever the phrase is, that you kind of are like, meh, well, I didn't really shoot for that one. It's fine. But having somebody that's like, this is something you said you want to do, let's figure out how to make it happen, is really important.
Also, sometimes it's nice to have a joint goal. You know, we talk about that at the gym, right? It's more fun to compete when several people are competing and there's sort of built enthusiasm and we're all working together, and, you know, sometimes that can be really nice.
Yeah, having a joint goal. Like last year for my birthday, we did kind of a membership drive, so to speak, and our student Megan drew a cake on one of our whiteboards and had 46 candles on it, because that's how old I am. And every time a new student came in, we filled in the color of the candle. And when they signed up, we filled in the flame. We basically lit the candle. And that was really cool, because it kind of got all the students like, oh, I see we had some new people come in, or, oh, there's new students, or, you know, like new members that we haven't met yet. And it felt like a joint goal in a different way than just like a referral contest or something like that.
Yeah, totally. I also liked what you said about, like, sometimes who you are changes. I think, you know, like the example of the competition, competing 3 to 5 times, I think you also have to kind of identify, why was that my goal? You know, because like we could go and compete 3 to 5 times, but the goal isn't necessarily compete 3 to 5 times. It's be the people we are when we prepare for tournaments, right? Eating better, sleeping better, drinking more water, strength training. It's all those pieces.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. And that brings me to a point I wanted to mention. So I was listening to a podcast by Amy Porterfield. She's like a business podcast lady, and she was interviewing her husband, and which kind of was one of the reasons I thought about interviewing you last week, because I thought it was just a really fun. We did an interview for her on Beauty and the Geese. So if you haven't listened to that, be sure to check it out. But it was just really nice to kind of get to know each of them better. But he asked her, what is something that she wishes that she kind of knew when she first started? And it was to be detached from the goal as far as like the number outcome. And what she was kind of meaning by that is like, numbers are data. So she said, you know, if she does a launch and she hits her numbers, she's like king of the world, right? But if she doesn't, she gets like super depressed and feels like she's failing and all of this. And so kind of detaching from the goal from that aspect and using it as data that can help you. So if you're looking at this membership number that we talked about earlier, and you've signed up 45 students, but your goal was 60 in this time, then you could get really depressed about not having hit 60. Or you can use it as data for either how can we do better, or what is a more realistic goal. So kind of not using it as just like a failure on yourself, but like how can you improve or course correct.
I really like the concept, but AJ told me about that before we started the podcast just a little bit ago. And I was like, but if I fail, it's me still. Like if I don't hit the goal, it's me still. But I think a piece of that is just evaluating sort of honestly what my effort was.
Yeah.
You know, because sometimes you just don't put in the effort that you should have. And
yeah. I also think sometimes for myself personally, and this can be different for different people, like how you best use goal setting. But for me, sometimes setting a lofty goal, it's like that shoot for the moon and you'll land amongst the stars or whatever. But if I shoot for a lofty goal, then I keep pushing for that. And if I shoot for a goal that it's like, yeah, I can do that, then I don't really work hard. Mm-hmm. Or if I hit it, I sit back and I'm like, cool, I hit it, right? You know, if our goal for camp was 100 people, then once we hit 100, I'd be like, we did it. We hit 100. Great. That's it, you know? But if our goal is 250, and, you know, this is a rough year. I've talked to a lot of different, not just camps, but like all kinds of different event organizers. Mm-hmm. And everybody's saying like they're really having trouble with their numbers this year, like really hitting what they have in the past. And, you know, we can look at that one of two ways. Like we didn't hit 250 this year. 250 has been our goal every year since we've had a big place to do it. And so I could be like, this year was a failure. But if we would have set a goal of 100, we'd be succeeding. But if we just set a goal of 100, we wouldn't have 200 people, which is what we ended up with. So it's just kind of, how you best set goals and what you consider a success.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's an interesting thing that is very different between the two of us. For me, I need lofty goals that are still reachable. So sometimes I have sort of tiered goals. So an easy example is at work. The goal I set is to bring in $3 million. I'm almost certainly going to hit that. And my sort of secret goal was to hit $3.5 million. And I'm hoping I'm going to meet that. It's going to be a struggle. I don't know that that's a number I'm going to hit. But for me, it probably goes back to last week's episode about perfectionism. Yeah. But I start to kind of spiral if things don't feel reachable. This course correct thing is still something that I do, when we're talking about money or something like that. That's an easy thing to kind of identify, but I can kind of spiral, so I feel like you kind of have to set goals with yourself in mind or with the people in mind that are, trying to hit it.
Yep, absolutely. I think of it too kind of like competition, right? Obviously the goal is gold. But that doesn't mean that you didn't improve and do better just by setting that goal of gold. Even if you didn't get a gold medal, you probably are in better shape. You took better care of your body. You slept more, you ate better, you drank more water, you trained harder and more focused. And so you have all of these wins because the goal was gold. Even if you don't get gold, you're still improved vastly more than you would have had you not set that goal.
Yeah, totally.
So, yeah. Those are kind of my thoughts. I think it's time that you take a few moments to sit down with your goals and, decide, are these still your goals for this year? Is it something that you can still, shake off and step up? Can you hit this goal? Or do you need to course correct for what your goals look like and being able to hit them for the end of the year?
Yeah. I think you could also set some new goals.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're at the halfway point. If you've got some new things that have come into your life that you want to do,
set
those goals.
We have a new goal for an event that we're going to do. So that's something
we do. It's true. You saw the video, you saw my face, but it's true. It's just another thing.
But it's something we've been talking about for years, really. Yeah. And we've made a commitment that it's something we're going to do this year. So, and that wasn't a commitment we had January 1st.
Yeah, but we were talking yesterday. We need to get it on the calendar.
Yep. Yeah. I'd love to hear how this episode maybe helped you in your goal setting and your course correcting and just kind of evaluating what the second half of your year looks like.
Yeah. Okay. Well, do we have a content corner piece for this week?
Yeah. So this is one we've done before, but maybe you don't listen to every episode. And I think it's important to do this on a regular basis, especially because schedules do change. But this would be a carousel. So a carousel on Instagram is where it's multiple pictures that you can slide through. And I want you to post your schedule. So first picture, you're going to post your Monday schedule. Second picture is Tuesday. And you're going to do that for your entire week with a picture behind it of one of those classes. And then each day of the next week, you're going to share that day or the next day's schedule. So maybe it's first thing in the morning, you're like, come see us today, and you're scheduling, or you're sharing in your story Tuesday's schedule, or Monday night, you're saying, come see us tomorrow, here's Tuesday's schedule, and you're doing that in your story.
Cool.
So instantly that provides you with something in your feed and multiple stories for the week.
Awesome. Okay. Reminder, subscribe to the Substack.
Yes.
Subscribe to the Patreon.
Yes.
Subscribe to this podcast.
Yeah. Subscribe to all the things. Subscribe to the YouTube.
I wanted to see how many times I get you to just say, yeah.
Yeah.
What?
It reminded me of Santa Claus, the movie, where he's like, uh-huh, uh-huh.
I want to make that a clip for social media, just so everybody can see your face.
Well, it's John Lithgow, and that's what he's saying. He's like, uh-huh. And he's like, stop making me say uh-huh.
You're John Lithgow and you're the Grinch are very similar.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, well, with all of that, I think that wraps it up for this week. I think we know what we always say.
We do. If you build it,
learn how to market it,
get referrals,
follow up with prospects,
offer a great product,
and grow a community,
they will come. Now get out there and get it done. We believe in you.